Hello, and welcome to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome to today's episode. Oh my goodness, I feel like January flew really fast. It's already the beginning of February. And going into February, I know a lot of it revolves around love and the feelings of love and enlightenment from everybody around you that we're searching for. But today I wanted to kind of go back into a little bit. I saw this on I've been thinking about this, and then I saw somebody else talk about it on Instagram the other day of spending February rather than looking for love outside of yourself. So whether it's from a significant other, whether it's from a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that looks like, and your kids, maybe it's your parents, whatever that looks like, finding that validation and love from them around you, to jumping in and finding it within yourself, because that is the hardest thing to do. I know as a mom and as a woman, there are times I stand in front of the mirror and all I do is nitpick. I'm never like, oh, today is a great hair day, or like makeup's on point, or just like you did your workout today, you're a good mom, you accomplish these things, you are a business owner, like giving myself the kudos, the atta girls that I call them, that really boosts you up and boosts you into that next level of saying, okay, now I can level up. Now I am ready to maybe take another step forward on my journey, move that needle a little bit, because I've worked on my self love, given myself some good positive self talk, and moved forward into, okay, now the next step, right? That next level of confidence, or that next level of self love, that next level of whatever it is that you're looking for, that you're getting it from yourself. You're getting you're giving yourself that validation, which we have talked about in previous episodes in the past of how we feel as people and as humans at times, that you have to get permission from everybody else to do the things that you want to do. That for me, for starting a business, that it felt like I had to make sure my husband was on board and okay with it, and that, my parents were, they didn't have any sort of anything involved in it, but like that they felt like it was okay. And some of my friends just kind of like felt like I had to make sure that everybody was like, yeah, you can do it. Giving, like, kind of giving me their blessing and going forward in doing that, when really I just needed to get to, I can let them know that this is what I'm doing, but I'm not searching for that validation that it's okay, that sure, you can do that. It's fine, whatever you want to do, but giving myself that permission and saying, go for your dreams, go for whatever it is that you're looking for. Start a business, start a side hustle, whatever that looks like. Do it because it's something for you. Do it because it's something that gets you the feeling of jump starting in the morning, gives you a reason to put your feet on the floor and jump out of bed and say, today is my day. I'm taking it on. Instead of rolling out of bed sluggishly. I have been on both sides of this, rolling out of bed sluggishly and kind of meandering through, just going through the motions of daily life, of wake up, get a workout in, eat breakfast, get ready, go to work, come home, make dinner, clean up little different bits of your house, put your kids to bed, watch a show, maybe relax, some form of relaxation, and then go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. And somewhere in there, depending on what stage of life you're in, you're going to have running kids to different extracurriculars. Maybe it's your work schedule starts earlier and you're passing your kids off to a babysitter or daycare or whatever that looks like. I've got all sorts of different things happening in my life as well. There are days that I have a babysitter that comes to my house, so I've got to pass my kids off to them while I go to work and get things done. And it's all just creates different types of schedules, but it's still a very similar type of routine of staying in that. So there's going back to giving permission to yourself. It's giving permission to yourself to give yourself a change. Give yourself grace to change. It's uncomfortable. Yes, we know change is uncomfortable. It's hard for us to get out of that comfort zone. I've talked a lot about how in your mind you have your fear is like, if your brain is your fence, is your house, fear is your fence line. And how far it goes is telling you, okay, this is a safe space. Wherever it is fenced in around your house is safe. We know how to deal with it. It's predictable. It's We can function within this space. But as soon as you step outside that boundary, that fence line, and try something new or make a small change. Maybe it's a lifestyle change, maybe it's a new job, maybe whatever that small change is to you. Maybe it's just like, I'm going to wake up 10 minutes earlier. That your brain and your fear kind of just says, whoa, hold on, we are not okay with that. We're not okay with that change. We don't know what's outside of this fence line, and we don't know how we're going to handle it. So we're going to do all we can to push you back into the fence line because we know that's safe. When part of growing and learning is taking all the steps outside the fence line, because the more steps you take outside the fence line, the more your fence line expands. And you are more equipped for different types of situations, different experiences. You have more confidence in the person you are, the things you can do, those skills. You have new skills, you have stronger skills in other places. You've created different relationships, you've made different boundaries that allow you to grow and be the person that you've dreamt of being. Imagine who you were at 7 years old. At 7 years old, I was a rock star and who owned an interior design business, who put sapphires on people's walls because that's what you do when you have loads of money. So I was a interior designer for the rich, and I was a best-selling novelist, and I I had like 6 mansions, and that was that was all of my careers. I did them all at the same time. And it was amazing and great. And the older that I got, it kind of shifted, and experiences and things, life kind of got in the way a little bit of making me take that dream of having 4 very successful careers and turning them into more of a concentrated path. It went from a really big, broad view to a very tunnel vision view of saying, this is where you can stay. This is your space. Don't look over here because we don't know how to handle over here. We don't know what that looks like. So we're going to push you to stay in what you know, how you feel, what your skill set is right now, because learning a new skill is it can be difficult, can be easy depending on skill. That is something that is unknown, and jumping into the unknown is something very scary for everyone. Me included in that. As an entrepreneur, you jump into a bunch of different unknowns at a bunch of different times. I feel that sometimes right when I get on solid footing, that it's time for me to take the next leap, that next leap of faith. But as I've been practicing of growing those boundaries and growing my fence line, giving myself that permission to grow, falling in love with myself enough to know I can take on one more step. I'm ready to go the next step. I'm ready. I'm confident in stepping into that next journey, into that next level, whatever it looks like, because I know I'm going to get somewhere better that I'm at right now. I'm trying every day to just be 1% better than I was yesterday. So going into that part of that is how my journey into my business and falling in love with myself started my business, started me on a path that has made me grow from a person that I was almost to where I wanted to be. Like, I was still falling short in a bunch of areas that, my 10-year plan from when I was 16 and 18 just kind of felt I was falling short, and feeling that there was something really missing in in my heart and in my soul, I felt like there was just this void that no matter what I was doing, how I was trying things I was trying to fill it with, it wasn't ever fulfilled. And I was going through those sluggish motions, going spinning on the proverbial hamster wheel that we're all spinning on. And I was wanting to look somewhere else, but my tunnel vision was keeping me staying in the same path, in the same track. But there was something that I knew was off in the distance, but a different direction. If we're talking still staying in this tunnel vision, that I needed to widen my view, I needed to widen my scope, and I needed to be able to see some of the things that maybe could fill it in a different way. And the first thing that came from that was really falling in love with myself, falling in love with the skin I'm in, with the person that I am. And I'm not saying it changed overnight. I'm not saying that I still don't struggle with it at this point. Not saying that it's something that is easily overcomable, but it took a lot of conscious effort and practice. So instead of, um, so step number one was being, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to fall into a self deprecating spiral when somebody gives me feedback. My personality is not one to take feedback that way, to take feedback as what it is feedback. I, I take feedback as a um, personal attack on my own, like my own character. It is one of those that has been, if somebody is like, you're doing a great job, but maybe you should try A, B, and C. I'm taking it as in my brain and the way it interprets it with my personality and everything is like, you are not really great because you are missing A, B, and C. And so when I would look at different things in my life, that I would try and avoid feedback for myself, because that would just be send me down that self-deprecating spiral of, well, if it was, oh, you missed a workout, or you need to work out more, or something on that line. That's usually an easier pick especially with resolutions, and something easy to talk about. But if I look at body image, saying, oh, you don't look like blah because you're missing A, B, and C, then it's a whole thing of, well, that means that you're a crappy this, you can't do that, you're X, Y, and Z, and then it just starts a whole pattern down. So when I started to catch myself doing things that were kind of giving myself feedback, but taking them in that direction, I would stop myself and say, these are the things you're doing really well. Of You are making consistent effort. You are trying different workouts. It's not all the same. You're trying different workouts. You're starting something new. I am not a huge weightlifter. Weightlifting is new to me. Sure, I've lifted like dumbbells or whatever, but I would much rather be on a treadmill or outside running or on my stationary bike prior to learning how to lift weights. For me, I was just kind of like, I don't know how to do it. I don't want everybody to critique my form. So I just, nah, like I'm not doing it. So when I started lifting weights and adding that into my workout routine, instead of saying, well, you're not lifting heavy enough, or you're not doing all the exercises, the amount of reps that you need to do, or you're not doing you've still got to tweak your form a little bit. I learned to give myself the grace of saying, you're trying something new. You're not going to be perfect overnight. You're not going to have everything nailed down. You're not going to go from zero weight to 20 pounds for overnight. You have to work up to that. You're working up to, you're increasing your strength, you're increasing your stamina. You're not going to go from 0 to 20 in one day. And learning to talk to myself that way has really changed the way my mindset in a bunch of different things, not only in my personal life, it helps in relationships as different things and feelings arise. Of if my husband and I are talking about something and he's giving me feedback about a situation or something like that, I stop in the middle of it and really make sure that I gut check myself, make sure I'm not taking it as you're doing a crappy job at this. It's, hey, you're doing good, but maybe we could improve on blah. And it's made it so that arguments aren't as explosive. That they really don't turn into arguments, that they turn into actual discussions that are productive and that move forward, and that we both walk away from feeling heard, that we walk away from feeling confident in our abilities, and both have a goal of something else that we're working on. And it's a much better exchange rather than just saying, putting up my walls, putting up those guards really fast of saying, well, you think I'm not doing good. It's, you think I'm doing a great job, but you're giving me tips to make it better. And that is one way that I have fallen in love with myself, is taking that, reframing what is happening in my mind, and knowing that feedback or starting something new, giving yourself grace. Give yourself grace and time, and to reframe the way you were looking at it, because what it does is it actually changes the whole chemical composition in your mind. And instead of releasing more like downer hormones, it's releasing those upper hormones that make you feel like elated and excited and joyful and happy and all of the things that we want to feel all of the time. Those feelings of just that we're on a good path. We kind of feel lighter and airier in that. And so focusing on the way you're talking to yourself is number one, and reframing what that looks like. Number one and number two, reframing and just talking to yourself positively. Give yourself the outer girls. I'm a firm believer in championing yourself for the small wins. That today my kids didn't scream at bath time. So, like, major win. We didn't dump the entire tub out of the tub. We kept it in there. Win for me. And nap time went well, which is great. We're trying new foods. So some nights with my little guy, he eats really well, and other nights it is like pulling teeth just to get him to try a bite of like a chicken nugget, right? It's really hard to just get him to try a bite of it. Where other nights it's like amazing. We're going to eat the whole bowl plus some more on that. So it's the little small things. So champion yourself on the small things, especially every day, but especially as you're starting something new, and giving that you did. So for me, like, you did a first workout doing weights, like, way to go. That's something that you wouldn't have even thought about doing years ago. You've started this process and now you're on this habit. Maybe you've started that habit and now you've increased in weight, and give yourself an atta girl. Like, I went from 10 pounds to 15 pounds. Awesome. That's so worth celebrating. Celebrate the small steps, because when you get to, if you don't celebrate the small steps and you're trying to get to your big goal, it feels really taxing. It feels really tiring. It feels really exhausting when you're looking at your big goal and saying, my goal is to lift, I'm going to pick bicep curls at 45 pounds, but I'm only at 10. Like, I'm never going to get there. But celebrating, okay, I went from 10 to 12 and a half. And I went from 12 and a half to 15. And I went from 15 to 17. Like, those small increments are saying, okay, now I can get to 45 because I'm already at 17. That's like great. That's awesome. I'm not looking at it going, I'm at 10 and I have to get to 45, even though I've still increased weights in that process. Take the time to give yourself the celebration. Also, everybody needs a reason to celebrate with cookies and cake and their favorite drink, whatever it may be. Pop the top and just enjoy, celebrate those moments. So, before we cut to commercial, quick recap: celebrate yourself, reframe the way you're listening to things, and really, really, really talk to yourself positively. Give yourself some awesome feedback and some really good atta girls. while you're falling in love with yourself. It's going to be some time, but do it and try it and see what it looks like. We're going to be right back after this commercial. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I'm your host, Mallory McGary. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or emailing me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I'm the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. We are back talking about falling in love with yourself. So first part of the episode was talking about how you fall in love with yourself by talking to yourself and reframing your mindset and giving yourself the outer girls, like cheering yourself on, being your own cheerleader. That is I the hardest thing, but one of the best things when you're your own cheerleader. I leave little post-it notes and congratulations things on my mirrors, on my computer screen, different moments. I write them down in a journal in like big letters. I'm not a scripty writer, so I try to make it look as pretty as possible, but anything that will remind you of the things that you've accomplished. Keep it in a place where you can always see it. So the second part, I think that falling in love with yourself comes along with is treating yourself and taking care of yourself, giving yourself that self-love, whether it is doing a passion that you love, like a hobby, or maybe it is just like an adventure type thing. So maybe you're very outdoorsy and like hiking and camping, that kind of thing. Maybe it's relaxing in the tub, whatever that looks like, taking that time for your self-care, giving yourself that self-love. And also, I've talked about this a couple of times, and there's been some episodes with my friend Holly Hartman, who also talks about this, about dating yourself and what that looks like. So take the time to treat yourself with the things that you love to do. Take the time to really indulge in, maybe it is going to a spa day, maybe it is going on an adventure, going outdoors, going hiking, going camping somewhere. Maybe it's taking yourself to a hotel for a night. just by yourself, just relaxing and enjoying that. Maybe it's a spa day, whatever that looks like for you. Treat yourself in what that looks like, because that's going to fill up your cup. We talk a lot about this on the show, is filling up your cup, filling up your energy, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And being a mom, you are really depleted of energy, really a lot. You have your kids you're worried about, your significant other, spouse, partner, uh, your own community, whatever that looks like. You're kind of really exhausted by the time that you lay down at night, and trying to muster it up for the next day, if you haven't refilled or rejuvenated somehow, you're never going to rejuvenate that, because now you're running on depleted energy. You're trying to give that energy out of negative space. It just doesn't appear. So think about it as that your like your battery is dying, and you have that like 2% left, and the next day you have to give more than that 2%. And you can't, that little spots there. If you're looking at kind of reflecting upon your life, look at moments where you've done something that you really love, that you've filled up your own cup, that you've done it yourself, really filled it up. And then however long it you can hold on to that feeling and let it fill you up, that overflow spills out. Maybe you're more patient with your kids, maybe you're more patient at work, maybe you have more that you're able to accomplish, whatever that looks like. But then when you haven't filled up that cup and that energy is completely depleted, what does it look like the next day? Are you equally as patient with your kids, or are you less patient? Are you wanting to accomplish more, or are you just kind of wanting to do like minimum effort? Whatever that looks like. In my experience, the more my cup is full, I'm giving overflow of energy to everybody around me, that I'm more patient, that I accomplish more, that I have more ideas, my creativity is flowing, that my business is actually moving, making moves to make the needles move, that my relationship is with my relationships in all places are getting stronger. I'm not withholding anything there. Whereas if I'm running on an empty cup, I am less patient. I tend to get really just kind of blasé about a lot of things, of where I don't really want to do anything. I don't want to move forward. Um, and all of the things that it looks like. So that's kind of where I took into account of, okay, I'm really going to make a focus on filling up my cup in the best way that I know how. And it doesn't have to cost anything all the time. Like last night, even for example, I'm not a bath person. I am very much a shower person, but very rarely, and by rarely, I mean it's like rare that I ever take a bath. But last night, my body and soul were craving getting in the tub. And so I gave into that. And I woke up this morning feeling really rejuvenated, feeling really refreshed. And I didn't know that that's what I needed at the time, but I listened to what my body was saying, and self-care. I sat in the tub and I got to read my book for a little while and just really enjoy, without distraction, without my kids running in and out and thinking about what's next, what's tomorrow, what do I have going on, any of that. I could really decompress, and it really filled up my cup, giving me more energy to go into today and however long after in that. So I've really made it a priority to focus on what my what fills my cup and how to do that, and to maintain it at a fuller level, that I can always have that energy to give to everybody else around me. So that's number one. Take care of yourself. Really give into self-love. You've seen it out there. Self-care is not selfish. It's not. It actually makes you better in the long run by doing that. By just taking the time to do that, you're just in a better headspace to be better at whatever it is that you're going to be. And then number two, dating yourself. So I have had passions from when I was like 15, 16, that I really love to do, that were really important to me. And then things that I haven't loved to do, but I thought I loved to do them. So as I've kind of gone throughout my life, uh, at times I'll revisit some of those things where I'm like, I used to really like to do this. do I still like to do this? And I find like absolutely not. That did not work out. That is not something that I'm ever going to try again. Or then, but I, on the flip side of that, I have something that says, oh, that looks interesting. Maybe I should try that and see if it's something that feels good to me. And it either does or it doesn't, but I've tried it and I know I can say one way or the other. But it still filled up my cup. It still allowed me to jump one step farther into these are different ways that I can fill up my cup and become more full and more energized because I am focusing on what makes me happy. It's not what makes my kids happy. It's not what makes my husband happy. It's not what it makes my parents happy, my family happy. It is the things that make me happy, the things that bring me joy because my the things that bring me joy don't necessarily bring all those same people joy and pleasure and excitement as does to me. And so but it fills up my cup and then I become a better mom, a better business owner, a better partner, a better daughter, all the things. I become a better version of myself because I am giving that good energy out that I've needed to have in the long run. So those things are important. Take the time to find the passions that you write them down. There are things that I've had since I was 15 or 16 that still I absolutely love to do and I could never give them up. It'd break my heart if I had to give them up. And I have other things that I've thrown completely to the wayside and I've picked up new things. I'm always looking to try something new and try a new experience because I always want to I want to fill out what that looks like. I don't want to be tied to one thing that only brings me joy. I want to have all of these other facets that bring me joy in in everything that I do. And one of those things is actually my business that brings me a lot of joy. It makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. It makes me want to move forward in life. It helped me fall in love with myself and that is one thing that I want to share with all of the moms in all over the world is that finding that thing that is yours that you can create into a business and have that be the jumping point for you that you actually have something that is just yours fills you up so much, brings you so much joy, and really helps you fill up your own cup, but propels you into being the person that you dreamt of being for a long time and what that looks like. As a mom who I got married later in my life, and having that I had a career for a long time before that. I had become this person for a long time before that that when I got married and when I had my son I felt like I would have to like chop part of me off, uh, maybe like an arm and a leg or something. I don't know, it just felt like part of I if I had to make the choice I was choosing to chop like my arm off or not. And I would lose part of who I was because I built up so much of that in my life. I spent so much time working on that that to just shut that part of me off was would have been really hard. I it did shut off for a minute when after I had him and COVID hit and then all the craziness that's happened. We're just going to leave it in the past. But all of that craziness, it took me a couple months into that saying this is not who I am. I am much more than this. I have much more of an impact I want to leave on the world. I want to leave a different legacy for not only the world, but for my family and for my kids. And I want to leave a legacy for myself, really. I want to build a legacy that builds me out, excites me, and really inspires and empowers other moms across the world to do the same thing, to find what it is that lights them up, to turn them into the the person that they dreamt of being ever since they were little, that that dream and possibility is not there, that you can still look through that wide scope and see all of that. You don't have to stay in tunnel vision anymore at all. You don't have to stay there. And if you're there, you can break out of it. That whole scope of vision is for you to increase that fence line of not letting fear tell you that you can't, that people are going to see you as an imposter. They're all going to judge you, there's so many people doing whatever it is that you want to do that you're never going to stand out. Any of that. I've battled through that. I've made it through that. I'm days that I still work through it, but I've made it to the other side and I know what it looks like. And I want to help other moms find that passion, find the things that light them up and do the same thing. That is what lights me up. That brings me joy. It fills my cup, and I know that. And I'm working toward keeping that cup full all the time. And with all of everything that it looks like, that seems like there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not. If you want to chat about it, email me. You can find me on Instagram, any of that. Ask questions. Please ask questions. I'm here to answer your questions, because if you think you're bugging me, you're not. I love to geek out and nerd out about stuff like that, and create those relationships. I love co-creating products. I love co-creating businesses with everybody. That's just what lights me up. That's why I do what I do. That's why I have this show. I want to empower you in so many different ways, and just leave my impact and say, maybe today this is what you needed to hear, or that this gives you a little bit of boost in going forward into whatever journey that you're on and moving forward. So today, going into February, don't look for outside validation in love. Start with loving yourself, because when you can love yourself, it's easier to love others and see that. And so if you can see my shirt, and my camera's a little weird, but it says be kind. Um, Not on purpose and not intentionally, but be kind to yourself. Be kind, be gentle, because it's going to be a minute. Give yourself grace as you're going there, but be kind to yourself. And thank you so much for being here today. I'm so happy you were here. I hope that this left a message with you and resonated with you. Please email me, DM me on Instagram, questions, feedback. Also, in a couple of episodes, we're going to do a full Q&A session. So send in your questions. I'd love to answer them live on the air. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Be safe out there.